go.
What's that?
Good morning, future M.
Hello.
So I got a question on the YouTubes, which is basically about like, do you really have amnesia? And then also more about like the history of the channel, which I'll talk about later. But I have a Steve because
Hello.
It is easier to talk about your amnesia when you use the person who has been sitting next to you for 14 years. So we should say that I have both retrograde and tarograde amnesia. Yeah. And retrograde amnesia is forgetting everything before a specific date. Yeah,
well, I have the Wikipedia article right here. First, let me just say, after living with M for 14 years, M definitely has amnesia. I'm not going to go into specific examples. I think you wanted me to do that, but I don't feel the need to do, like, we don't have to explain your disability.
No, I more wanted, like, what is it like for you? Like, well, I can talk about, like, what it's like for me, but...
It's pretty... It'll be pretty odd because it's kind of... Sorry, I was distracted by a cat.
There's a cat! Come here, Lola.
You know, like, I'll talk about... You know, it's everything from trivial things to major things. And there's some major things, you know, like how we met, that just... you remembered that for years, and then just suddenly one day it was gone after like 8 years or something like that. And then there are other things where it's like we'll talk about something that'll be like your idea. It could be like, hey, we should, you know, do this thing, or what do you think of this thing? And then you know, I'll follow up on it, and then I'll talk to you about like a week later or something and be like, what are you talking about? So it's just weird, like stuff is just
it doesn't have like a clear the erasure doesn't have like a clear line. But often when like something is very like emotionally fraught, I remember it longer. Yeah,
generally that's true. But so I was like, okay, well let's maybe, you know, who knows, maybe it's clinically not amnesia, maybe there's some other word.
But I mean, I have been told by neurologists that it is amnesia.
Sure,
so.
Yeah, but I don't know that, and I'm not a doctor, so I just looked it up. I was expecting it to take longer to research, but the first 2 paragraphs of the Wikipedia article pretty much explain everything. So, so the first sentence of the Wikipedia article is, amnesia is a deficit in memory, everybody knows that, caused by brain damage, disease, or psychological trauma. So
in my case, when I was 10 years old, I got carbon monoxide poisoning and died. Had to be resuscitated in hyperbaric chambers. Now, why do I know this? I've been told this story hundreds of times. My mom was there, my brother was there. Like, this is a like family event, so I remember it sort of through the stories of my family. And like I've been telling the story for so long that I sort of remember the story. Like I remember how to tell the story because I tell it so often. Although probably fucking it up somehow. So that I acquired brain damage from that, and the amnesia is a component of the post-carbon monoxide brain damage, but there's also migraines and seizures and inability to control inflammation in my body, which I have to take lots of drugs for, and discoordination in my movements and my muscles, which is why my left leg is atrophying. There's sort of a lot of problems that are caused by the brain damage, but amnesia is one of them. And the amnesia is the topic of these videos because it is an experiment in creating a prosthetic memory via this device.
So, let's see, blah, blah, blah. It can also be caused by sedatives or hypnotic drugs.
Which we've experienced when my memory got worse, taking a particular anticonvulsant drug.
Yeah, actually, you were taking Topamax.
And it made my memory worse.
Much worse.
I did something...
I don't know.
I can't remember. There was like a triggering event for us to not take it.
The memory can be either wholly or partially lost due to the extent of damage that was caused. There are 2 main types of amnesia, retrograde amnesia and anterograde amnesia.
And I have both.
Retrograde amnesia is the inability to retrieve information that was acquired before a particular date, usually the date of an accident or operation.
So this is like why I can't remember my childhood, is retrograde amnesia deleted everything before the event.
Yeah. In some cases, the memory loss can extend back decades, while in others, the person may lose only a few months of memory. Anterograde amnesia is the inability to transfer new information from the short-term store into the long-term store,
Which I also have.
People with this type of amnesia cannot remember things for long periods of time. These two types are not mutually exclusive. Both can occur simultaneously.
As in my case. And that basically means, like, that my damage is very fuzzy. So, like we said before, there's not a hard line after which I forget something. I usually say 1 to 2 years, but it really depends on the kind of data. So sometimes I forget something after a few weeks, and sometimes I forget something after 3 or 4 years. It just depends on, like, how often we talk about it. Like, if we're constantly telling this story about a thing, I will remember it for longer. But if we stop telling the story, then I will forget the story, essentially. And that's a little bit fuzzy because it doesn't mean that I'm actually remembering the event itself, but that it's being constantly, like, made into this story that I can tell.
Which is interesting because that's actually how memory works. It's just, in your case, it's out here rather than in your brain.
Yeah.
Because when you access memories in your brain, my understanding is you actually, like, every time you access a memory, you actually degrade it slightly.
You're, like, changing it into a new thing. So that's basically what I can't do. I can't tell stories inside of my brain that, like, reinforce my previous memories.
So then the second paragraph has some, well, it's really cool stuff, but not really relevant. I encourage you to read it if you're interested, about parts of the brain that affect memory and
we're not totally sure what part
mice.
of my brain is damaged to do this. Like, it could be a lot of different parts.
But the more relevant part is at the second part of the second paragraph, where it says, in people suffering with amnesia, the ability to recall immediate information is still retained, and they may still be able to form new memories. However, a severe reduction in the ability to learn new material and retrieve old information can be observed. Patients can learn new procedural knowledge, so skills.
Yeah, this is why I can, like, learn how to do new things in art or computers, and, like, why I don't lose skills, I only lose my, like, sort of life story stuff. Like, I lose, like, how stuff happened, or I lose, like, how I learned a thing, but I don't actually lose the learning of a procedural
So that's
thing.
apparently just standard amnesia. That's just part of amnesia. It's not special to you. So, which is fascinating to me. Like, I wonder why amnesia works that way. It's lucky. It's pretty fortunate.
Yeah.
Like, because otherwise people with amnesia would just
you would sort of, like, stop.
How could you survive
and not progress at all?
You would just perpetually be bewildered. To just be like a toddler, basically.
I mean, I think that there are forms of amnesia where people, like, if your time period is so short that, like, you can't remember more than a day or something.
That's pretty,
like, that would be really confounding. But, like, my amnesia has, like, a longer time period, so like, I don't remember meeting my best friends. I don't, that kind of thing, but I don't forget, like, the majority of my skills.
Well, you have forgotten they're friends of yours, so you've forgotten there are two sets of friends that I actually relatively recently asked you about, that you forgot. I think you've forgotten them. Noah and Leah from CCA.
Someone named that follows me on Instagram.
Oh, probably 3 sets of friends. Andy and Jelani. Remember them? And Danny and Julie. Yeah. All 3 groups of people you were very close to them for a while, but they moved away, and so they're sort of out of sight and literally out of mind in your case because of the...
If you move away and don't, like, actively maintain your friendship with me, I will forget who you are. Sorry.
Forever, yeah. Then it says, in addition, priming, both perceptual and conceptual, can assist amnesiacs in learning a fresh, non-declarative knowledge, which I'm not sure exactly. I guess priming is...
We want to do more research on priming.
I don't know.
Because it seems like it's a thing that we could use to get my memory to at least last longer.
Yeah.
Similar, I think, to like retelling the story over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Amnesiac patients also retain substantial intellectual, linguistic, and social skills.
I'm real cool.
Despite profound impairments in the ability to recall specific information encountered in prior learning episodes.
So yeah, that's why I can still have like social skills, and I still, like I have linguistic skills and all these things. That's part of procedural knowledge that doesn't get deleted when you have either anterograde or retrograde amnesia.
Oh, this is actually interesting too. I wasn't going to go further, but presentation, acquisition of new memories. Patients with amnesia can learn new information, particularly non-declarative knowledge. However, I'm not sure exactly what non-declarative means. However, some patients with dense anterograde amnesia do not remember the episodes during which they learned or observed the information previously.
Yeah, that would be me. I definitely can learn things and then be like, how the fuck did that happen?
Oh.
Like, how do I know how to do that?
Interesting. Declarative information. Some patients with anterograde amnesia can still acquire some semantic information, even though it might be more difficult and might remain rather unrelated to more general knowledge. HM could accurately draw a floor plan. I don't know who HM is. Some patient of accurately draw a floor plan of the home in which he lived after surgery, even though he had not lived there in years.
Whoa, I can totally do that. Yeah. Okay, so this is really interesting. So I know maps really well. Maps of homes and maps of cities and stuff like that. Even if I don't remember living in the home, I can draw like a semi-accurate map of places that we have lived, even though I don't remember like when we lived there or like anything that happened there. I can still like, we've done this before. I've like drawn maps of places that we've lived back for like years and years, even though I don't remember living there. So that's really cool. I didn't realize that other people could do that. What is that? That's called declarative information?
That's for declarative information. Then for non-declarative information, some retrograde and anterograde amnesiacs are capable of non-declarative memory, including implicit learning and procedural learning. For example, some patients show improvement on the pseudorandom sequences experiment as healthy people do. Therefore, that's not a proper sentence. Anyway, therefore, procedural learning can proceed independently of the brain system required for declarative memory. According to fMRI studies, the acquisition of procedural memories activates the basal ganglia, the premotor cortex, and the supplementary motor area, regions which are not normally associated with the formation of declarative memory.
Oh, interesting. So, like, if you're learning something that is activating other sections of the brain, you can still, like, learn those things, essentially.
Let's see.
Amnesia is weird.
This type of dissociation between declarative and procedural memory can also be found in patients with diencephalic amnesia, such as Korsakoff syndrome. Another example demonstrated by some patients, such as KC and HM, who have medial temporal damage and anterograde amnesia, still have perceptual priming. Those patients did well in the word fragment completion tests.
That's cool. So yeah, this is, if you want to learn more about amnesia, like there's tons of information online.
Yeah.
But this is just sort of my experience of it. There's lots of other experiences that people have with amnesia. But one thing to remember, like if you are talking to someone who has amnesia or like, confesses that they have amnesia or something, this is not the same as like general forgetfulness. Everybody forgets things. Everybody forgets things that happen in their life. But it's important not to sort of, what did you call it?
Trivialize it.
Yeah, trivialize or disability erasure.
Like disability erasure, denialism. I don't know.
Like, oh, I forget things all the time. Things like that. Like, it is, like, fundamentally different than the experience of amnesia. So, yeah, just basically believe people. And I know it's strange and weird, but it's really a thing.
What surprised me is how... I've never actually researched it before because I didn't really need to, but... how closely our experience matches just the
bog standard,
the vanilla Wikipedia article, like within the first few paragraphs.
Yeah,
it touches on like your ability to remember like layouts of apartments that you don't remember us living.
That's
in.
so cool! I didn't know that was a thing that other people could do.
It's kind of fascinating, though. We definitely need to research the priming thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing that...
You can do experiments on me.
Like, I wonder if that's just luck that amnesia works that way, or if the brain actually somehow evolved so that amnesiacs. It seems like the breeding population of people with amnesia. Well, no, because it's not genetic.
No,
typically
it's everybody can get amnesia because mine's like damaged.
So it's just a side effect of the fact that, like a complete random coincidence, side effect of the fact that the brain evolved to be decentralized, I guess.
Well, I think it's also that like the brain is meant to forget things, but it doesn't. Like, you wouldn't want to build a brain that, like, could forget things, but not, like, the super important stuff. So, like, the stuff that is less important, like, the story of your life, and, like, how you came to know a thing, is less important to the survival of the human
than how do I start a fire?
Yeah, like, how to start a fire is much more important than, like, this one time, my daddy taught me how to rub two sticks together as he told me this story about the sky. But that's, like, that part's less important.
So, sure, but that's a very, like... So the human brain is literally the most, from the human perspective, like as far as we understand, the most complex thing in the known universe.
Yeah.
Which is
our camera stopped recording.
So
the brain is the most mind-blowing...
It's most... the brain blows itself.
Blows my mind.
It's the most complex... thing, period, let alone organ, in the known universe, as far as we know. So it's fascinating to me. Like sure, you can say, well, yeah, it's not evolutionarily advantageous, but it's still fascinating to me to ponder what the evolutionary mechanism is for the evolution of something that's so complex, because it's such a I mean, yeah, it's easy to say, like, oh, well, it's an iterative process, happens over millions of... Yeah, I know, but it, you know, like, I want to know more details, right? Because that's...
And they've been evolving for, what, like, a billion years? Like, basically, like, central control organs, or whatever you want to call it.
I don't know when the brain first emerged, or, and they... emerged out of ganglion, out of ganglia, right? So I don't know when that first, like, I don't know how long nervous systems have been around, but life's been around for what, like 3.5 billion years?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Something like that. So, yeah, I don't know, but it's amazing. I guess what's so fascinating to me is that it's such a tailored... Like, it's such a useful and such a specific and specific and very complex, like, adaptation.
And it's everywhere, too. Like, yes, the human brain is probably the most complicated one on the planet, but, like, they're everywhere. Like, they're used in so many different instances.
Think of it this way. It'd be like if you had a computer, and I know you don't like the computational model of the mind, but just as an analogy, if you had a computer, like, so a real computer, if you lose the hard drive, like, that's it, like, you're done. You can't use the computer. It has to have storage. But imagine if you had a computer where you lose the hard drive fails, but, like, you can still compute stuff with it. You just can't
save it.
You just can't save files, but it can still do all the things a computer can do, which
interesting.
Hypothetically, a computer can do. You know, like if you had the operating system installed somewhere other than the hard drive. But imagine if you had a computer where it's like, oh, the hard drive's gone, but somehow the operating system still works and you can still compute stuff with it. Like, I mean, it's pretty amazing. Like, you can still use it. It's definitely less useful.
I lost my hard drive.
It's less useful, but it's, you know...
my brain is very useful.
It's diminished in capacity.
True, that is true.
But
I will accept that.
But it still has, like... like, the core thing about a computer is not its storage, it's computation. So you still have all the computation. You just can't... I mean...
It's really lucky,
it's
actually,
amazing.
that, like, my brain was damaged in this very particular way. Because, like, despite there's a lot of repercussions to this, like, but despite the fact that, like, my body... Okay, I'm gonna use the word suffers. My body suffers from it, like, there's a lot of like physical pain and like neurological like disintegration caused by it. Like I'm still like a very intellectually strong human.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I guess I just got lucky. Like basically all the damage went into parts that like I can essentially manage.
Well, but it also sounds like that's again though like standard for amnesia. I mean, but you're talking about
no, I'm talking about like overall damage,
the brain damage,
like the fact that I got amnesia instead of like
because you could have suffered
some other
cognitive
defects, which I don't have,
and although we actually don't know that you might. This is what scares me about M is that M has is very smart.
Whatever.
Definitely above average intelligence, and what frightens me sometimes is pondering like how much smarter you would have been.
Whatever.
For all we know, we were maybe it was time travelers.
Yeah.
Maybe you were actually so smart that you turned out to be a supervillain. And time travelers came back and they're like, "Oh shit,
we gotta fuck this kid up.
We've got to knock him down a peg, so they don't turn into an evil genius."
I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. We don't actually know if I have.
You may have been
even
smarter. Who knows?
Whatever. I'm good enough.
Yeah. Now you're just regular genius, not super genius.
Whatever. Alright, this is the only video getting today. I'm not gonna make a 50-minute video, so...
Oh, wow, this is it, huh?
This is it.
Wow.
Future M.
Sorry, guys.
I hope that this...
Used up the whole day.
I hope that this little conversation reminds you just how adorable this human is.
I guess we have to find a more efficient way to answer a question.
No, why?
Okay.
We can burn a day on a question.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
Or you can make a
Humans
you
forget
can
their
release
lives.
more than one.
It's okay.
More than one video.
No.
No.
That's against the rules.
Oh, okay. This is all you want to remember from the day?
Yeah, just how adorable you are.
No, okay.
Good night, Future M.
Good night.